All right, today we're diving into something really fascinating. A fantastic article from NEXGROW Academy that looks at the whole evolution of professional development. And what a journey it's been. We're talking from old school factory floors right up to the AI-powered future of work. So, let's get into it.
So let's kick things off with a number, a really, really big number. $200 billion. Just let that sink in. That's how much is spent every single year on corporate training, and that's just in the US. I mean, it's this massive industry, right? All built on this one promise, making us better at what we do. The big question is it actually working?
Well, here's where it gets interesting. According to a Harvard Business Review study that NextGrow brings up in their article, the answer is kinda no. Get this, only about 10%, just a tiny fraction, of these expensive training programs actually led to real, tangible benefits. So you've got this enormous investment, right? And just a shockingly small return. That's a problem. And that really is the heart of what we're talking about today. It's the $200 billion question, isn't it? Why is there this giant gap between all the money being poured into learning and the actual impact it's having? To figure that out, we've got to take a step back and look at how we got here.
So, yeah, how did we get here? The whole story of corporate training is really this long, winding road, a journey from old school classrooms to, digital clicks. And along the way, we've seen some amazing progress, but also some problems that just refuse to go away.
Okay, so the groundwork for all this was laid way back. More than a century ago, actually. You had the first factory schools popping up in 1872 to train machinists. Then, a few decades later, you get these structured methods like show, tell, do, and check. And fast forward to the 50s and 60s, and you get these legendary corporate universities. GE's Crotonville, McDonald's Hamburger University. These places were the absolute gold standard for in-person immersive training. But that traditional model, it had some major problems. For starters, the learning was pretty passive. It was very much a one-size-fits-all deal, which a lot of the time just felt completely disconnected from what people actually did day to day. And the result? People forgot almost everything. Knowledge retention was just awful, sometimes as low as 8 or 10%. Plus, it was super expensive and almost impossible to scale up. It was obvious something had to change. And it looked like the answer had arrived with the move to digital. E-learning, learning management systems, LMSs as we call them. They promised to just tear down the classroom walls. All of a sudden, training could be scaled across the globe. You could access it whenever you wanted. It offered total flexibility. And honestly, that was a revolutionary promise. But as it turns out, just throwing a bunch of courses online wasn't the magic bullet. A lot of these digital programs, well, they flopped. And why? Well, a bunch of reasons. There was no real strategy, the user experience was often clunky and frustrating, the content got stale fast. And I think a big one was this obsession with the tech itself, instead of the actual people who are supposed to be learning. So yeah, we got more access, but that real, genuine engagement, that personal touch, still totally missing.
And it's exactly that gap, the one between just having access and actually being engaged, that brings us to the brink of the next massive shift. This is what the NextGrow article calls a true paradigm shift. The arrival of the AI coach, and it's all powered by generative AI. So what exactly is generative AI? Well, to put it simply, it's a kind of AI that doesn't just read data, it creates totally new stuff. It can write text from scratch, it can generate code, it can build out these incredibly complex simulations. It's moving way beyond just spotting patterns to actually mimicking human-like creativity. And for learning, that changes absolutely everything.
Because with this tech, suddenly we can do things that were basically science fiction before. We're talking about hyper-personalized learning paths that literally adapt to your unique skill gaps as you go. Imagine immersive simulations where you can practice, say, a really tough conversation over and over in a totally safe environment. You get instant, personalized feedback that helps you get better faster. And you've got this intelligent support system available 24/7. It's a game changer.
And this is where you can really see the difference, right? This chart just lays it all out. Look at the metrics. Scalability jumps from low to very high. Personalization goes from basically 0 to highly personalized. But the big one, the one that really, really matters, is retention. We're leaping from that pathetic 10% in the old days to potentially over 60% with AI. It's a massive jump. And that feedback loop, it goes from slow or non-existent to instant, creating this powerful, effective learning cycle. And this transformative power, this is exactly what NEXGROW Academy is all about in their work. It's this core idea of using AI to finally unlock all that untapped potential in people and, by extension, their organizations. It's really about getting past the idea of just access and moving into an era of true intelligence and adaptability in learning. Okay, but with all this incredible power comes a ton of responsibility, right? We're standing on this brand new frontier, and we have to be super careful about how we navigate it. And that brings us to a really important concept, human-centered AI. Because let's be real, we have to ask the tough question. Is AI this perfect, magical solution, or does this incredibly powerful tool bring its own baggage, its own risks and challenges that we absolutely have to tackle head-on? The NEXGROW article does a great job of laying out 4 major challenges here. Number 1, ethics and bias. We have to be so careful that the AI doesn't just bake in and even amplify the unfair biases that already exist in the world. Number 2, data privacy. This stuff runs on data, and we have to protect people's sensitive information. That's non-negotiable. 3 is transparency. We can't just have a black box making decisions. We need to understand why it's doing what it's doing. And finally, and this is a big one, the human touch. We can't lose the empathy and mentorship that only another person can provide. So the proposed solution is absolutely key. It's all about a human-centric approach. The goal is not to replace people. I'll say that again, not to replace people, but to augment them, to enhance their capabilities. AI should be a tool that empowers us, that frees up human beings to do the things we're uniquely good at, like coaching, mentoring, and building real connections. So how do we actually build this future the right way? Well, it starts with setting up clear ethical rules and governance boards. It means being totally transparent with employees about how their data is being used. It means we have to invest in training people to use these powerful new tools responsibly. And ultimately, it's about letting the AI handle the boring, repetitive stuff, which frees up our learning and development pros to focus on what really moves the needle, high-level strategy and one-on-one coaching. And so here we are. The journey just keeps going. We've come from the physical classroom, which was structured but super limited, to the digital platform, which gave us access but was often pretty impersonal. And now we're standing right on the edge of a future that is intelligent, personalized, and truly adaptive. Which brings us to the final and maybe most important question. And this one is really for you to think about. How is your organization getting ready for this future? Are you already looking at how to use these tools not just to tick a training box, but to genuinely unlock the full potential of your people? Everything we've talked about today was based on the fantastic insights from that NEXGROW Academy article, from classrooms to AI coaches. It's actually the first piece in their whole series on the future of corporate learning. So if you found this as interesting as I did, you should definitely give them a follow to keep up with the conversation. Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer.